Metaphysics of energy. Friends, anyone familiar with my cosmic and atomic model will know that I understand that the foundation and basis of the cosmos lies in its metaphysical essence, that is, that the cosmos is an intelligent and sensitive creation of an entity that is more spiritual than material. And of course, between what is totally spiritual or of intelligence and creative sensitivity and the pure matter we know and study, there will be an initial transition or boundary where we may not be able to distinguish between the essence of one thing and the other. Well, perhaps cosmic energy is close to that boundary, and of course, to explain myself better, we may need to focus on what is spirit and what is matter. So we'll do it as if it were a story or novel. And so, while the cosmic entity is thinking about creating the universe, it would say, I'm going to create a stage or space where I can create and build all kinds of characters, among other things, to demonstrate and feel alive, to appreciate myself, and to realize that I am a fantastic creator. But for this, I also need to devise some kind of movement to give life to the characters. So, together with and mixed with space, I'm going to create a universal movement, also imperishable or perennial, with which all kinds of characters and events can be created, and give them life and movement in an inexhaustible and infinite way over time. And so, by mixing and executing the universal movement within space, lines of force and energy were formed in all directions and senses, so that with these lines of force and pure energy, matter was formed, and with it everything that the universe has developed. Thus, cosmic energy is essentially the union and impregnation of universal movement within space. Then, for this cosmic energy to be properly distributed and executed in three-dimensional space, it must begin by moving in the form of rectilinear lines of movement in all directions and directions. Of course, it must also produce concentric formations of energy lines, which we will later call gravity. These lines can gather and combine at their centers to form points of energy and points of matter, matter being, therefore, the gathering of cosmic energy condensed into points through the concentric direction of gravity. Energy in general is then born from an initial concentration of energy lines, later forming condensed energy or matter, as well as many types of intermediate energy, such as heat energy. But, and this is important to keep in mind, cosmic energy is the manifestation and execution of universal motion within space, which is why in the cosmos or universe, everything moves, everything changes, and everything transforms constantly and continuously. Nothing is stopped or at complete rest. And this cosmic energy is inexhaustible and imperishable, and from it also emanates gravitational and magnetic forces, which are also perennial and imperishable. Then, matter regroups and forms orbital systems to achieve balance and energy density, which the cosmos as a whole possesses. And in turn, orbital systems can come together and build higher levels of matter, as occurs with atoms, which can come together and form stars. So, what is time, so overused by classical physicists? Well, I understand that it is only a parameter for measuring universal motion and cosmic energy, which measures how much of them exists in any event, as motion in a straight line, and time or the amount of transformation, evolution, aging, erosion, etc., in three-dimensional form. Well, friends, this is a brief description of my cosmic model regarding energy, but enough to give you an idea of its essence, consistency, and value within all of cosmic creation. However, for a human, a question would remain unanswered. But how does a purely metaphysical or spiritual entity create lines of force, concentrations of lines of force, matter, orbital systems, etc.? Well, just as we create a novel like Don Quixote, or a mental project. Well, by mentally transforming ourselves into these elements, just as Cervantes' mind transformed Don Quixote. In other words, the entire cosmos, including us, is a creation and intelligent vision of the cosmic entity. That we are so perfect and see no cracks in our creation. Yes, of course, but that entity is also so perfect and has infinite points or pixels to construct us.